Power does not open its doors to those who knock politely. It opens to those who understand why the door exists in the first place. Most people misunderstand this from the beginning. They believe access is granted through merit, effort, friendliness, or shared values. They assume that if they are competent enough, loyal enough, or kind enough, the gatekeepers of influence will eventually notice. This belief is comforting, and that is precisely why it is wrong. Machiavelli understood that power is not moral, sentimental, or fair. Power is selective, and selection is never accidental. You have seen this dynamic play out your entire life. You enter rooms where certain people seem to belong without trying. They do not explain themselves. They do not audition. They are not impressive in obvious ways, yet the room bends around them. Conversations pause when they speak. Opportunities orbit them. Meanwhile, others, often smarter, harder working, and more sincere, remain invisible. The difference is not talent, it is not effort, it is not even intelligence. The difference is structural compatibility with power. Power does not look for admiration, it looks for reinforcement. Powerful people are not searching for friends, fans, or moral allies. They are searching for stability, leverage, protection, and amplification. They are surrounded by volatility, markets, rivals, politics, crises, and their primary instinct is survival. Anyone allowed close must reduce risk, not add to it. This is the first filter, and most people fail it immediately without realizing why. Machiavelli observed that rulers fall not because they lack enemies, but because they misjudge who deserves proximity. The greatest threat to power is not opposition from the outside, but disruption from within. This is why access is guarded so aggressively. Every new person introduced into a powerful circle is a potential variable, and variables are dangerous. Power prefers predictability. It prefers people whose behavior is legible under stress. Those who are emotionally volatile, validation-hungry, or morally performative are liabilities, no matter how talented they appear. The first thing powerful people assess is not what you can do, but how you carry yourself when nothing is happening. Before you speak, before you pitch, before you prove anything, your nervous system is already communicating on your behalf. Desperation leaks. Hunger leaks. Neediness leaks. Machiavelli understood this long before neuroscience gave it language. A person who seeks approval cannot be trusted with power, because they will trade integrity for reassurance the moment pressure appears. This is why powerful people instinctively distance themselves from those who try too hard. Effort is not the issue is motive. When someone is visibly trying to be liked, to be chosen, to be included, it signals dependency. Dependency creates leverage, but in the wrong direction. A dependent person can be controlled, but they cannot be respected. And power does not grant access to those it must constantly manage emotionally. The second filter is ego regulation. Powerful people are acutely sensitive to threats to their status, even when they deny it publicly. Machiavelli wrote that men are quicker to forgive harm than humiliation. If you enter a powerful environment attempting to impress, outperform, or correct, you trigger a silent alarm. You may believe you are demonstrating value, but what you are actually demonstrating is danger. Power does not invite rivals into its inner circle, it neutralizes them. Those who gain access understand a counterintuitive truth. Visibility is not the same as influence. They do not seek to shine, they seek to fit into the existing hierarchy without disturbing it, at least initially. They let others take credit. They frame ideas as extensions of the leader's vision. They strengthen the existing structure before attempting to shape it. Machiavelli would call this patience. Modern psychology would call it strategic self-effacement.
Power simply experiences it as safety. The third filter is usefulness under constraint. Power is allergic to abstraction. Intentions mean nothing. Loyalty means nothing until tested. Words mean nothing without context. Powerful people think in terms of outcomes. If someone is allowed close, it is because their presence solves a problem, reduces friction, or increases efficiency. Not someday, not hypothetically, now. This is why sob stories fail, and competence alone is insufficient. Power does not reward effort, it rewards utility. But utility alone is not enough. Many useful people remain disposable. This is where Machiavelli's insight becomes sharper. Power does not just choose those who are useful, it chooses those who are useful without being threatening, and loyal without being submissive. This balance is rare. The submissive become contemptible, the dominant become dangerous. Access is granted to those who can operate in the narrow corridor between the two. The fourth filter is discretion. Power survives on asymmetry of information. Those who gossip, overshare, or seek intimacy too quickly disqualify themselves instantly. If you cannot control your mouth, you cannot be trusted near sensitive decisions. Machiavelli warned that secrets are the true currency of power. Anyone who treats information casually will eventually treat allegiance casually as well. Silence, restraint, and selective speech signal maturity to those who live in high-stakes environments. There's also a quieter filter that few notice until it is too late: emotional economy. Powerful people are constantly drained by requests, crises, and expectations. They gravitate toward those who make interactions feel lighter, calmer, and more efficient. Not entertaining, not flattering, stabilizing. If someone increases emotional noise, they are filtered out, regardless of talent. Power values those who lower its cognitive load. This is why access often feels unfair from the outside. You see people rise who seem unremarkable, while others with obvious skill remain excluded. What you are missing is the invisible metric being applied. Power is not measuring brilliance, it is measuring risk. Who can be close without creating instability? Who understands the unspoken rules? Who does not need reassurance, recognition, or emotional maintenance? Who can be trusted to disappear when necessary and act decisively when called? By the time most people attempt to network, they have already failed these tests. They arrive with exposed motives, uncontrolled egos, emotional hunger, and no understanding of the environment they are entering. Power does not reject them maliciously. It simply does not register them as viable. They are not enemies, they are irrelevant. In the next part, we will move deeper into how powerful people signal access without offering it, how they test candidates silently, and how most people unknowingly disqualify themselves by misunderstanding friendliness for invitation. This is where the real selection begins, and where the difference between insiders and spectators becomes irreversible.
Once you understand that access is filtered through risk rather than merit, the behavior of powerful people becomes far easier to read. What looks like arrogance is often caution. What looks like indifference is often calculation. Power is constantly running probability models in the background, even when the individual denies it consciously. Every interaction is subconsciously assessed through one question: does this person increase my optionality, or do they reduce it? Those who reduce it are quietly excluded. Those who increase it are tested further. The most misunderstood phase of this process is what can be called selective warmth. Powerful people are often friendly, engaging, even charming with many individuals, yet grant access to almost none. This creates confusion for those who mistake politeness for proximity. Machiavelli understood this dynamic well. He warned that rulers must appear approachable without becoming accessible. Friendliness costs nothing.
Access costs everything. The smile is not the invitation, it is the mask that allows observation without commitment. During this phase, powerful people are watching for consistency. They want to see how you behave when you believe nothing is at stake. Do you complain casually? Do you speak badly about absent people? Do you posture? Do you exaggerate your importance? These small signals reveal how you will behave when stakes rise. Power knows that pressure does not change character, it reveals it. So they test you when you are relaxed, not when you are trying to impress. One of the most common disqualifiers is emotional leakage. People who overshare early believe they are building trust. In reality, they are demonstrating poor boundary control. Machiavelli would have seen this as recklessness. Power cannot afford emotional unpredictability nearby. If you need to be seen, heard, validated, or understood quickly, you will eventually demand attention at the wrong moment. This makes you unsafe. Another silent test is how you handle ambiguity. Powerful environments are deliberately unclear. Decisions are delayed. Feedback is vague. Invitations are non-committal. This frustrates those who crave certainty. They push for clarity, for reassurance, for timelines. In doing so, they reveal impatience and entitlement. Those who survive access understand that ambiguity is not disrespect, it is filtration. If you cannot operate calmly without explicit affirmation, you cannot be trusted with sensitive leverage. Machiavelli repeatedly emphasized that impatience is one of the greatest weaknesses a man can display. The impatient expose themselves. They reveal what they want too early. They force outcomes. They rush intimacy. Power watches this closely. Those who remain composed under uncertainty signal self-sufficiency. They are not dependent on the outcome of the interaction. This alone elevates their perceived status. Power also evaluates how you respond to micro-rejections, small delays, missed messages, rescheduled meetings, slight dismissals. These are not accidents, they are stress tests. Those who react emotionally, by withdrawing dramatically, by becoming cold, by seeking reassurance, or by overcompensating, fail immediately. The correct response is neutrality, calm continuation, no resentment, no pursuit, no collapse. This signals emotional independence, which is the rarest trait power encounters. Another crucial filter is how you handle hierarchy. Powerful people live within layered structures of authority. They are highly attuned to whether someone understands rank without being servile. Those who treat everyone the same believe they are demonstrating equality. In reality, they are demonstrating blindness to structure. Machiavelli believed that misunderstanding hierarchy leads to rebellion or chaos. Power grants access to those who respect structure intuitively without needing it explained. This does not mean submission, it means calibration. You speak differently to different levels, not because of fear, but because of awareness. You do not challenge authority publicly. You do not bypass channels impulsively. You do not embarrass leaders under the banner of honesty. Power notices this immediately. Those who respect structure are trusted within it. Those who violate it are kept outside, regardless of competence. There is also the test of silence under provocation. Powerful people are constantly challenged, subtly and openly. They are watching to see how you handle disrespect, dismissal, or contradiction. Those who rush to defend their ego disqualify themselves. Those who can absorb slight without internal collapse demonstrate maturity. Machiavelli understood that retaliation must be timed, not emotional. Power trusts those who can delay response without losing composure. As proximity increases, power introduces controlled exposure. You are allowed to see small vulnerabilities, minor frustrations, internal conflicts. This is not intimacy, it is surveillance in reverse. Power is testing whether you leak, judge, exploit, or posture in response. If you treat this information casually, if you repeat it to gain social currency, you are eliminated instantly. If you respond with discretion and restraint, you move deeper inside. At this stage, most people fail without realizing it. They believe access means familiarity. They relax too early. They speak too freely. They assume rapport equals safety. Machiavelli would have considered this foolishness. Access is not safety. It is responsibility. The closer you are to power, the higher the cost of error. Those who survive understand this instinctively. There is also a deeper psychological dimension at work. Powerful people are lonely, not emotionally in the conventional sense, but structurally. They are surrounded by people who want something from them. This creates a constant background of performance. Those who gain access are those who do not add to this pressure. They do not perform admiration. They do not signal hunger. They do not orbit. They exist independently. This independence is magnetic because it is rare. The paradox is this: power is drawn to those who do not need it. Machiavelli was explicit about this. Dependency inverts leverage. Those who appear content without access are perceived as equals. Those who seek access are perceived as subordinates. This is why radical autonomy is the final filter. If you would collapse without proximity to power, you will never be allowed near it. This is where most people misunderstand networking entirely. They believe it is about proximity. It is not. It is about posture. The way you stand internally matters more than where you stand physically. Power senses orientation instantly. Are you approaching as a supplicant or as a sovereign? Are you there to extract or to exchange? Are you stable or reactive? These signals determine everything before words are even spoken.
At the end of all this analysis, one truth remains unavoidable. Access is not something you request, it is something you radiate. Powerful people do not sit around consciously ranking others. They feel, they sense, they recognize. Years of operating under pressure refine their instincts until selection becomes automatic. By the time you ask for entry, the decision has already been made. Either you are compatible with their world or you are not. This is why the most effective individuals rarely talk about networking at all. They do not chase rooms, they build gravity. Their presence lowers noise rather than adds to it. Their words are measured, their emotions regulated, their ambitions concealed until they are unavoidable. Machiavelli understood that the highest form of power is not dominance, but inevitability. When your value is obvious without explanation, when your autonomy is unquestionable, when your restraint signals depth, access ceases to be transactional. It becomes logical. At this level, power is no longer impressed by performance. It is impressed by coherence. Does this person know who they are? Can they move through uncertainty without panic? Can they handle proximity without entitlement? Can they be trusted with silence? These are the questions being answered long before you are ever invited closer. Most people never realize they are being evaluated because they are too busy trying to be liked. The men who gain access are rarely the loudest or the most charismatic. They are the ones who can disappear without anxiety, speak without overreaching, and walk away without resentment. They are not defined by proximity to power, which paradoxically makes power comfortable around them. Machiavelli would say this is because they are sovereign in themselves. They are not looking for a throne to kneel before. They are building their own. This is the final paradox you must internalize. The fastest way to lose access is to need it. The fastest way to gain it is to become someone who does not depend on it for identity, security, or validation. When you are internally ordered, emotionally disciplined, and strategically patient, power stops seeing you as a variable and starts seeing you as an asset. And assets are protected. You cannot fake this posture. It emerges only through sustained self-mastery.
through solitude, through restraint, through choosing long-term leverage over short-term approval. This is why so few ever reach the inner circles they admire, not because they are excluded, but because they are unprepared. Power does not punish innocence, it simply ignores it. If you take anything from Machiavelli, let it be this. Do not ask how to be invited into powerful rooms. Ask how to become the kind of man whose presence stabilizes any room he enters. Do not seek attention, seek alignment. Do not demand access, build gravity. When you do, the gates open on their own, often without ceremony, often without explanation, and often when you are no longer looking for them. Power does not choose the loud. It does not choose the needy. It chooses the prepared. And once you understand that, you stop chasing access and start becoming unavoidable. If this changed how you see power, connection, and yourself, don't let it end here. Subscribe, not for the channel, but as a signal to yourself that you are done being invisible to systems you never understood. And if you want the deeper mechanics, the unfiltered strategies that cannot be shared publicly, join us beyond the surface. The inner circle is not crowded. It never is.